terrible things happen in the world. And his mom said, always look for the helpers. Right? Look for the helpers. And it isn't ironic how we've all become helpers. I mean, really. And I wanted to read a snippet from a letter of how we become helpers. And we feel helpless if we can't. And this woman, we went to her house about a year ago. She had a teenage daughter. She's handicapped, wheelchair bound, and they had no electricity for a year. Now think about that. And they had candles, and she had a teenage daughter. And after a while, you become kind of jaded to this, almost cynical about the world, and everything kind of sucks, and I can't do anything about it. But when you become a helper, all you do is start in your mind thinking of the ways that you can make a difference. And that's why you're here today, because you're one of the helpers. And that's why your kids are here today, because your hope is that they become one of the helpers. And I wanted to read just a few lines from this letter that this woman wrote me, because she has no computer, because they can't afford it. They have no email because they have no capacity to even send an email. So I get a handwritten note from her. This is a week ago. And she talks about how we were in their house and we had their electricity put back on. They owed $8,000. And we turned the electricity on for the first time in a year. Now think about your life with candles. This isn't the 1900s. This isn't 1850. This is America in our town, present day. Her daughter's a teenager. She moved in with me. I had a devastating surgery, left me in a wheelchair, Marty. I can't get up and down the stairs. So Haley, her daughter, sleeps with me on the very old crappy couch. So a mother and a daughter with no electricity, and they live in a house alone, and they can't pay their bills, and they sleep in an old crappy couch. Now, I read this letter to my kids at dinner last night. Why? Because my daughter said to me, Dad, why can't we have a beach house? And the reason why you bring your kids here is because you want them to understand that they want to be one of the helpers. They want to be one of the people that wants to make a difference. And I want them to understand that there are people that live a different life in a different world, that they have no capacity of understanding, that they sleep on an old crappy couch. Her daughter, when we were there, wouldn't come out of her room because she was ashamed. Now think about it. Think about if you grow up in a house, you have no electricity, you're living with candles. She was working 3 jobs to pay all the bills in the house because mom couldn't work. And you're too ashamed to come out of your room to talk to that TV radio guy who wants to pay our electric bill. And I think if we understand the capacity for pain, and if we understand the capacity for kindness, and the capacity to be a helper, then we'll be much better off, our kids will be much better off, and the world will be much better off. Thus my relationship and friendship with Bob. Because at the end of the day, we make a difference together. And at this point in my life, it's all that I really care about. To make a real long story short, Robert Levin Furniture, is a friend of mine. Guy's worth $400 million. He could fly private, he could live on a beach somewhere, but he doesn't. All he wants to do is help. I call him on the phone, and I read him a little snippet of this letter. And they went to Levin Furniture and picked out everything they wanted, and they're filling their house with furniture on Monday. Why? Because Robert Levin is a helper at a very different level, at a very different capacity. What annoys me is when people say, well, so what, he's a rich guy. Not the point. There are a lot of rich guys that don't help anyone. But all he wants to do is make a difference. And all he wants to do is create change, which is what Bob does and Mary Lee does. And at a very basic level, we're the helpers. And I'm proud to be one of the helpers. And I'm proud to say that every single year we go out with you guys and put in these furnaces, and we see people's lives that have a very different day-to-day than ours. But we become helpers, and we help them, and hopefully they become helpers. And I'm very grateful for these relationships and friendships and all of you for being helpers. Thank you.
Hey, he does a good job for us. But he does a good job.
Thank you, sweetheart.
All right, I jumped ahead a little bit. We do actually have some other vendors that are with us that need to be recognized.
Mr. Rogers.
Is Joe from Lennox here?
I hate that show.
Did he pop in? No. All right, with us from Ferguson, we have Donnie Moore and Tony. If you guys could stand or raise your hands. With us, Mitchell from Priority Frame. Where you at, Mitchell? So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Bob Merrilee, the man behind the myth and the legend.
You there? Hey, Pap, can we come and stand up there because we like the stage at a young age? That's a terrible thing. Look.
No, they are so excited and so proud, and that's why they ask, can we come up and stand with you? Because they know the meaning of the day. Don't you guys? What are we going to do today next?
We're going to help other people with their furnaces. Same thing. We're going to give them donuts and stuff.
Coffee, yes. And we're going to make other people's lives blessed, and we're going to be blessed in doing that also. So I know they're excited, and that's why they wanted to come up, because they know the meaning of the day.
You guys, everybody good? Good. Thank you all for coming. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me here? Or? No. Here is better.
Yeah.
I wanted to give a perspective on growing a company. We'll jump back in time. What year? 20, 30 years ago. 30 years ago. All right, we'll go to 1987. How many people weren't born in 1987? Right? All right, so 1987, we're starting a company, and we have no idea, zero idea of what a company takes to run. We know how to fix a furnace, and not that good at the time. We thought we were better. But at the end of the day, we were starting to move forward, and then we had to add a group. So I was the best fixer, always. Until I learned that if I was always the best fixer, I would always be fixing. So then I pretended not to be the best, and it made it easier if I wasn't, if that makes sense. So at that point, we're now trying to grow the company. We're reading or listening to books on tape about a company and how it would be stronger if it was collective. Wow, that's pretty smart. Wow. Why doesn't every company do that? I don't know. But at the end of the day, as we would get more collaborative as a group, the group became stronger itself. Well, shit, we got to do that, right? We got to go do that. We'll have a hayride